Imagine this. On the main screen, a shape resolved against the swirling nebula of gases that were, by all rights, being born from N. That's exactly what happens in today's Omni-Fi original.
The silence aboard the Kestrel was a physical thing, a pressure in Commander Eva Rostova's ears that had nothing to do with the vacuum outside. It was the silence of 1,000 micro-adjustments, the hum of life support, the thrum of the grav drive pushing them into the impossible territory known as the entropic reaches. Here, the universe played by different rules. Stars didn't burn out, they ignited from cold embers. Ships didn't decay, they grew barnacles of fresh metal. And heat didn't flow from hot to cold, it flowed from cold to hot, making every engine a furnace and every hull a refrigerator. Eva hated it. It felt fundamentally wrong, a violation of the universe's sacred order. "Commander, we have a contact." Ensign Jax's voice crackled, tight with a tension that felt almost alien in this place of unnatural calm. "It's adrift. No energy signature. No propulsion. Just there." On the main screen, a shape resolved against the swirling nebula of gases that were, by all rights, being born from nothing. It was a vessel, but unlike anything the Kestrel-S database had recorded. It was a jagged shard of obsidian, sharp and menacing, yet its surface shimmered with an internal, cold light. It was a wound in space, a piece of architecture that defied the region's own physics. As they drew closer, Eva saw the details. Intricate, crystalline structures fused with what looked like organic, pulsating veins. The ship was alive, and it was dying. Hailing frequencies open, Eva said, her own voice a steadying anchor. "Try to establish a visual link. Let's see who's home." The screen flickered, and an image replaced the starfield. It was not a face, but a cluster of multifaceted eyes, arranged in a terrifying, geometric pattern. They were inset in a chitinous, black exoskeleton that seemed to absorb the light around it. A voice, a chorus of whispers layered over a low, grinding hum, filled the bridge. "We are the Vakthar," the voice rasped. "We have broken the clockwork." Eva leaned forward, her knuckles white on the armrests. "The clockwork? Explain." "We trespassed into the domain of the weaver of threads," the Vakthar communicated, each word a painful, deliberate effort. "We sought to unmake a flaw in its design. We believed we could rethread a single strand. We were wrong." The Vakthar's ship shuddered, a visible tremor running through its crystalline structure. "We have fractured the loom. The laws of this sector are unraveling. Entropy is not just reversed, it is erasing. The cold is becoming infinite. The heat is being consumed. Our people are unbecoming. Our ships are unbuilding. We are coming apart." The Vakthar's image dissolved into static, replaced by a terrifying visual feed from their own ship. A section of the hull simply unhappened. Metal atoms reassembled into raw ore, plating sloughed off like dead skin, and the cold light within the crystals winked out, one by one, as if the universe were hitting an undo button on their existence. "My God," Jax breathed. Eva stared at the screen, her mind racing. This was beyond first contact. This was beyond a diplomatic incident. This was a fundamental crisis. The Vakthar, a warrior race by reputation, were not here to conquer. They were here to beg, and they had come to humanity. "Why us?" Eva asked the silent bridge. "Of all the species in this galaxy, why would a warrior race come to humans?" A new voice, deeper and more resonant, spoke from the comms panel. It was a human voice, but one that carried the weight of ages. "Because we are the only ones who would try to fix a broken universe with duct tape and a prayer, Commander Rostova. We are the janitors of creation, and we don't mind the mess." Eva spun around. Standing at the back of the bridge, leaning against a bulkhead with a faint, knowing smile, was Elias Vance. He wasn't in a uniform. He wore a simple, gray jumpsuit that had seen better centuries. He was an anomaly, a man who claimed to be a temporal janitor, a self-appointed custodian of cosmic anomalies. The brass had sent him along as an observer, a liability Eva had resented until this moment. "We don't know how to fix this," Eva stated flatly, her frustration boiling over. "We don't even understand the physics." "Neither do they," Elias said, gesturing to the Vakthar's ship on the screen. But they understand the symptoms, and they know what caused it. You don't need to be a master watchmaker to know you've dropped the entire movement on the floor. You just need to be brave enough to pick up the pieces. He looked at her, his eyes holding an unnerving depth. The Vakthar are terrified, Commander. They broke something sacred. Their matriarch, the weaver of threads, is not a forgiving entity. She is a force of nature. She will not just let this go. She will retaliate. And she will retaliate against everyone. The Vakthar ship, designated the Shard, was a study in controlled decay. Eva, Elias, and a small team of engineers and xenobiologists beamed over, their environmental suits humming with the effort of maintaining a stable temperature against the region's ambient, ever-increasing cold. Inside, the air was frigid, and the silence was punctuated by the soft, unsettling click of crystalline structures shedding layers. The Vakthar who greeted them was a magnificent figure, towering over the humans. Her chitinous plates were a deep, iridescent blue, and her multifaceted eyes swiveled to take in each member of the landing party. Her name, translated by the ship's universal translator, was Tara, the matriarch's handmaiden and the one who had made the fateful decision to trespass. The flaw was a whisper. Tara communicated, her voice a low, resonant hum. A single, misplaced note in the Weaver's symphony. We believed we could silence it. We were arrogant. The loom of reality is not a thing to be meddled with. She led them to a vast, cavernous chamber at the heart of the Shard. At its center was not an engine, but a device of terrifying beauty and complexity. It was a web of crystalline filaments, glowing with a soft, internal light, suspended in a field of what looked like liquid shadow. The filaments were vibrating, not with energy, but with a profound, discordant sorrow. They were the threads of space-time itself, and they were fraying. "This is the loom," Tara said, her voice filled with reverence and terror. "And it is breaking. The cold you feel is the Weaver pulling back, retreating from the damage. The heat is being consumed as the universe tries to heal itself, but it is failing." Elias stepped forward, his eyes not on the loom, but on the Vakthar around them. They were a species built for war, their bodies honed for combat, yet now they moved with the careful, deliberate grace of those handling something infinitely precious. He saw their fear, their shame. It was a vulnerability he recognized. "You say the Weaver will retaliate," Elias said, his voice calm. "Against whom? Against the Vakthar? Or against the one who broke the flaw in the first place?" Tara's eyes focused on him. "The Weaver is not intelligent in the way you are. It is a force like gravity or time. It perceives a disturbance. It will seek to restore balance. It will erase the disturbance. It will erase us, and anyone who stands with us." A junior engineer, a young woman named Lena with wide, curious eyes, pointed a scanner at the loom. "Commander, the energy readings are inverted. It's not producing energy, it's absorbing it from every possible source. The decay is accelerating." Eva's mind was a whirlwind of calculations and desperate plans. "We can't just stand here. We have to do something. Can we reinforce the threads? Patch the damage?" Tara let out a sound that was half growl, half sigh. "You think in terms of repair? The loom is not a machine. It is a song. We did not break a gear. We introduced a dissonant chord. You cannot patch a dissonant chord. You must replace it with a new, harmonious one. But the Weaver's song is perfect. How can we create a harmony to match it?" Elias walked to the edge of the chamber, his hand hovering over the liquid shadow field. He closed his eyes, not in prayer, but in concentration. "You're asking a musician to compose a new movement for a symphony they've never heard. But what if the composer is dead? What if the only way to learn the song is to become the song?" He opened his eyes, and they were filled with a strange, focused light. "Commander, we need to interface with the loom. Not as a machine, but as a conductor. We need to let it flow through us. We need to feel its pain, its dissonance, and find the harmony within it ourselves." The proposal was madness. To interface with the loom was to risk being unmade, to have one's own existence unraveled by the very fabric of reality. Eva flatly refused. "It's suicide, Vance. We can't risk our people on some metaphysical experiment." Elias met her stare, unflinching. "It's the only way." The Vakthar tried to use logic to impose their will on the loom. They failed. "We need to use something else. We need to use chaos." We need to use our ability to create order from a mess, to improvise a solution when there is no manual. That is our strength, not our weakness. It's why they came to us. His words struck a nerve. It was true. Humanity's history was a litany of facing the unknown and cobbling together a solution from whatever was at hand. It was our defining, and often terrifying, trait. Reluctantly, Eva agreed. A small team was chosen. Lena, the brilliant but inexperienced engineer. Jax, the steady pilot whose nerves were as sharp as his reflexes. And Tara, who would serve as their guide and translator in the loom's nonverbal language. Elias would be the conduit. The interface chamber was a small, sterile room adjacent to the vast loom chamber. Inside was a single chair made of the same crystalline material as the loom. The plan was for Elias to sit, connect to the loom via a series of neural probes, and allow the team to monitor his vitals. Lena would be on standby with a diagnostic array, looking for any sign of a harmonic resonance. As Elias settled into the chair, the crystals beneath him hummed, a low, welcoming sound. He closed his eyes. "Don't think of it as fixing it," he said, his voice a whisper. "Think of it as listening. Just listen." Lena initiated the connection. A wave of raw, chaotic data flooded the monitors. It was not energy, not information, but pure, unstructured potential. It was the feeling of a universe being born and dying in the same instant. Elias's vital signs spiked into the red zone. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic, a rhythmic drumbeat against the silent chaos of the loom. "His brain activity is off the charts," Jax reported, his voice tight. "It's like every neuron is firing at once." Tara stood motionless, her multifaceted eyes fixed on Elias. He is not hearing the song. He is in it. The dissonance is attacking him. It is trying to unmake him. On the monitor, Elias's body began to flicker, his form dissolving into static. It was the same unbecoming they had seen on the shard. Lena screamed, "He's coming apart. We have to pull him out." "No." Tara's voice was a command. To pull him out now would tear him apart. "The loom has him. We must find the harmony." Eva watched in horror, her fists clenched. She had to do something. She couldn't just watch. "Lena, what's the frequency of the dissonance? Give me a number." "I don't know. It's not a frequency, it's a lack of frequency. It's anti-harmony." Eva's mind raced. She wasn't a musician, but she was a commander. She understood systems, feedback loops. If it's a lack of harmony, we have to introduce something. Not a perfect note, but something that fights back. Something chaotic. "Lena, reroute all auxiliary power to the neural stimulator. Jax, I want you to modulate the output in a random, unpredictable pattern. Like static. Give him something to fight back with." Jax looked at her, understanding dawning in his eyes. "You want to throw noise at the silence?" "Yes. Throw everything we have at it. Make it fight for him." Jax's fingers flew across the console. The stimulator whined, spitting out a chaotic, unpredictable stream of energy into Elias's brain. For a moment, it seemed to work. Elias's flickering stilled. The static on the monitor cleared, showing his stable, if unconscious, form. But then, a new sound filled the chamber. It was not from Elias. It was from the loom itself. The crystalline filaments began to vibrate in a new, terrifying rhythm. It was a sound of rage, of a perfect song being violated by ugly noise. The liquid shadow field darkened, and a cold, malevolent presence filled the room. "The Weaver is aware," Tara whispered, her voice filled with dread. "It does not like the noise. It is coming for us." The cold intensified, a physical force that made the air in the interface chamber crackle with frost. The loom's filaments pulsed with a deep, bruised purple light, and the sound it emitted was no longer a dissonant hum, but a shriek of pure, unadulterated fury. It was the sound of a universe screaming in pain. "Status report." Eva barked, her breath forming a cloud in front of her. "The loom is resonating with the Weaver's anger." Tara communicated, her chitin plates rattling. "It is lashing out. We are all targets." On the main view screen, the shard shuddered violently. A section of the hull crumbled away, not into dust, but into a swarm of glittering, inert motes that simply ceased to be. The Vakthar were being unmade. "We're losing the ship," Jax yelled, his hands a blur on the controls. "The structural integrity is failing. We have to get out of here." "No," Eva insisted, Her eyes locked on the flickering form of Elias in the chair. He's still in there. We can't leave him. Elias's face was contorted in a silent scream. His body was flickering again, but this time, it was different. It wasn't random decay. It was being reshaped, pulled and stretched by an invisible force. The chaotic energy Jax was feeding him was not helping. It was making him a focal point for the Weaver's rage. "Lena, what's happening to him?" Eva demanded. It's like he's being woven into something," Lena stammered, her eyes wide with terror. "His cellular structure, it's being pulled apart and reassembled into a new pattern. It's not unbecoming, it's rebecoming. Into something else." The truth hit Eva like a physical blow. Elias wasn't just interfacing with the loom. The loom was rewriting him. It was trying to fix the flaw by using him as a new thread. He wasn't a conductor. He was raw material. "He's not fixing it," Eva realized, her voice hollow. "He is the fix. The Weaver is replacing the broken thread with him." Tara's multifaceted eyes swiveled to meet Eva's. "The Weaver is not evil. It is a force of balance. It sees a broken song. It is replacing the broken note with a new one. The Vakthar are the broken note. Elias Vance is the new one. And we are just noise in the system. We will be erased for our interference." The chamber groaned, a sound of metal stress that was quickly followed by the sound of metal unstressing. A support beam simply unraveled, its atoms flying apart into the cold air. The escape route was being cut off. Eva looked at Elias, his form now semi-transparent, his body tracing impossible geometric patterns in the air. He was becoming part of the loom, a living, breathing piece of the cosmic tapestry. And in doing so, he was becoming the target. The Weaver wasn't just attacking the Vakthar anymore. It was attacking everything that was not part of its new, fixed reality. "We have to give it a choice," Eva said, her mind racing, formulating a plan born of pure desperation. "It's replacing a broken thread with a new one. But what if it has more than one choice? What if we give it two options?" She turned to Jax. "Jax, I need you to do something. I need you to fly the Kestrel not to escape, but to attack." Jax stared at her. "Attack what? The loom? That's suicide. Not the loom. The Weaver itself. Or the echo of its rage. That resonant frequency you detected. I want you to take the Kestrel's grav drive and push it to its absolute limit. I want you to create a gravitational wave, a sonic boom for space-time. Aim it right here. Make a bigger noise. It will tear the Kestrel apart. It might, Eva."
Story over. Subscribe to Omni-Fi for a new sci-fi story every single day.